I will restart. So what I was saying is that normally, to anyone that's new here on these seminars, when our ninth one, anyone that's new, the chat directs where we're going to start on our discussion. So if you guys have any direct conversation points or things that you want to have us, fireside chat, whatever, or any direct questions for me, development front, um, whatever. That's how we run these. And I apologize for no audio in the beginning. But yeah, so the community, you guys have anything you guys want to bring up in the chat, you guys direct it. I was mentioning, I was I was talking about this new shirt I got, how I have now like a museum of stuff that Kuhn has been grateful to send me. Um, it's awesome. Like I have so many different colored shirts. This is like a maroon one. It's a little different from the hat, but it works. Like contrast and whatever. Obviously has a logo here. He has a bunch of different colors, but he sent me a bunch. So I'm trying to come up with a cool way to decorate the stream so that we have more representation, maybe some more shelves in here. But anyways, what I was mainly talking about is if you guys have any questions or however you want to steer this discussion, that's what these are for. So I do have some topics that I will bring up whenever time comes, but generally community chat is going to direct our discussion here. So use the chat if you guys have any questions that you want attention. And I was responding to your comment, Caleb. I also received 2 of those mugs, different sizes for each one. So I was grateful to receive that from Kuhn. Again, he hooked me up with my own personal museum, basically. So I have merch out the wazoo, running out of space in the in the closet, but it's worth it for me. Well, while we let you guys ponder over what questions you guys may have today, if not a lot, that's fine. We can cut the stream short. No big deal there. Just want to be available if anything is to come up. Just want to mention that we did talk about our newest update, how we were in active testnet, messing around with the different settings, seeing if any bugs were to come up. Yan is very much involved in that. So if you have any questions that you'd like to direct at him as well, he has mentioned that I can forward any questions to him, which also means if you guys have any direct questions that you just want to message him directly, just use his DM on Instagram, sorry, Discord, and he may be able to answer some of those and go into more detail. But he's very much involved, as am I, in the testnet, along with Barry, our lead blockchain developer, Barry Style. I know a lot of you may not recognize him by name because he's not as active in Discord, but that is just because of just how we work together. Not everyone is active on Discord. So live testnet has been a success. We've come into just like, normal bugs that pop up that we want to make better before we release it into Yan Safe and obviously a mainnet push for consensus to be reached for the update to go live. So our testnet's going great, basically issuing different tokens, issuing different supplies, and then working on making sure that they're being received at the address it's supposed to be sent to. Obviously, that's very important. But just with a token layer now being added to a mainnet network of PAC, where that's the only native token or coin, I should say, it's vital that we go through this testnet stage. So again, if you have any direct questions on that, awesome. And also Yan would be available to field any of those questions on his own time. Oh, thank you, Roger. Not Regier. Is it Regier or Regier or Roger? I'm sorry if I pronounced it wrong, but I appreciate the comment. Yeah, it's something that we definitely wanted to do to just make sure that we're interacting with the community, make sure that we're giving a listening ear. And then also, I've mentioned it many times before, but our development team is super like talented, but it's always better to have another pair of eyes. You always hear that. And it's very true when it comes to the development of innovative technology, where things that we're putting into deployment for this network, very well, it could be the first of its kind. That's just inevitable in this kind of technology, that there will be projects that have to come up with solutions that are just not presented yet. And that's the exciting part for us. It's kind of like just discovering something brand new entirely. So that's why I really enjoy being able to talk about those things with you and then also get other ideas. Could you please talk about Yan token release? Yeah, so Yen token is obviously the update that I was just speaking of, what we're in testnet for, the token layer implementation. So that's been what we're primarily focusing on in that testnet, issuing different tokens. Obviously, they have their own names, different supplies issued, and then transacting with them on the network, making sure that's going smoothly, making sure that it's not needed to just be RPC commands, et cetera. So um, it's just one of those things that will take time. Well, it has taken time, but we're so close into the point of now being in testnet and do things like this. It's just really fun to be a part of that. And again, I have mentioned in the past streams, I do not and I won't I don't like to, and I won't be giving, development official updates of releases or statements, etc., on these live channels because I don't want to misspeak, and then also it conflicts with our organization. Just getting out the news on all our socials at the right time, at the same time, primarily, so that everyone has an equal opportunity to look into the different things that are coming out. What we can talk about in the token layer part of it, I mentioned it a lot. Yan token is the first token to be created, to be issued on top of the network. It will be a future spork kind of action for it to be available for anyone. It would be a spork update on the network for to allow anyone to be able to start issuing their own tokens and their own supply for their own project needs, etc. It's not going to be available on launch. On launch, it's only going to be Yan token, just not to overshadow. Obviously, yanDNA, it's a staple product line of which its use is intended for. So that's why our update is going to look that way. But then eventually, obviously, we'll have it to where anyone will be able to issue their own token and have their own project be supported by PAC Protocol if they choose to. One question, any ideas how master owners can capitalize on the Yan token reward besides using it ourselves? So um, obviously the most useful way to use Yan token is when yanDNA is fully optimized and released and featuring your ability to deposit Yan for collateral purposes to reserve a specific amount of storage space on the IPFS network that is allocated. But additionally, there'll be a lot of different ways that we obviously want to add different features and potentially like a marketplace type of activity within yanDNA or a separate product, but obviously being tied into Yan token and PAC, of course, too, to where people can distribute files, maybe specifically NFTs, collectibles, etc. That's why I've expressed how our creative design team has expanded over the last months, years, specifically with this in mind, so that when we get to this point, we have designers available for the different partners that we bring in to white glove service them into the NFT space so that they have proper design teams, they have a proper infrastructure, and they also have a network that they can trust because not only is it robust and growing and continuing to optimize itself and be stronger because of just our development team making that a primary focus, but it's also a booming industry where people are recognizing it's a way for people to receive royalties and or direct monetization for their digital content. So that's why we've done the things that we have. It doesn't come as a surprise to look at the past ways that we've marketed ourselves, the industries that we've connected ourselves to. That way we have those foot in the door, so to speak, if you will, into introducing this technology and the ability for content creators to build off of PAC protocol. Yes, I agree with that, Caleb. It'd be great to have some sort of yanDNA exchange on the internal platform with a few major crypto pairs. Without coming short of just completely making your own exchange, which is something that we don't have plans to do, and no reason to like waste time developing something or rebuilding the wheel. We want to be obviously recognized on the most robust exchanges, the ones that are the most used, interacted with, etc. They have their own requirements. We've spoken on them in the past. I don't want to keep going back to the exchange chat. I know that's not where you're trying to steer, but it is, obviously a need to have a token, native coin, etc., listed on an exchange for easy access. What those exchanges are depends on what we're available to perform, because based off the requirements of exchanges. But as things grow, you can expect that list to grow as well. It just comes hand in hand. Could you elaborate on that question, Tipster? I see a lot of things going on Twitter from community. I don't follow, everything that happens on Twitter. I'm not tagged in everything, and if I was, that would make it even more difficult. So if you could maybe be more specific so that we could um, target exactly what you're trying to talk about. Future marketing, yep. I mean, yes, it's always in the plans. I mean, just kind of what we just talked about should be a little a pretty basic eye opener of our industry targets, who we're bringing into the space, and what comes along with that. Just a lot of things are timing, and that timing comes on our side. I mean, if we're providing the budget to do it and we're the one actually forking it over and building the products to be marketed, we have to be professional in how we manage our budget and also the timing. It's very difficult for anyone, just let alone to time the market sentiment of cryptocurrency. You know how volatile that can be. You might think it's completely going one way and it goes the other way. And it's one of those things that we also have to take into consideration when timing our branding efforts, our marketing efforts. You have to, know your audience at the time, target your audience, and then also have something useful to present. Not everything that we push is like continuously like market, 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 buy. Like we don't target that. We want to come up with solutions for real world problems and then present the solutions. And if they are real solutions, then that will speak for itself. Yeah, that's great, Tipster. Lots of spamming, advertising from community members. I mean, take your own definition of spamming for being good or great. I should be clear on that. But it is cool to see community interaction, people stepping up, giving their voice, giving their opinion. Um, it's really cool to see. And as that activity picks up, it's not just recognized by us inside or community members, it's going to be recognized from those outside. What are the current node requirements? Yes, so as any blockchain were to grow, and that's just based off of just pure data, the size of data that's in the entire history of the chain, especially when talking about a master node network where to host a full node means that you're hosting full responsibility and full history of what occurs on the chain. Um, it's inevitable that the data that is needing to be recorded from Genesis block to current will be, it'll grow, especially as more things occur, especially as more, even just the increase in master nodes is more data that needs to be recorded on the chain. So yes, the server requirements or recommendations, we should say, have been changed. I believe on Vulture, the server price is like $6 for the recommended server. Prior, maybe it was 4 or 5. I don't have the exact numbers. That's just one server provider that you could be using. There are others. Hetzner is also another API service that is built into YanSafe that you could use. Again, I'm not like entirely sure on the prices per server, but yes, the requirements have increased because of that reason. As the chain grows or becomes more used, more transactions, more data being stored, whatever, requirements for servers inevitably have to be upgraded. And that is your choice as a masternode owner to either participate in continuing to dedicate the resources that are needed and required for the network to grow and be optimally used, or you can choose to not do that. The risk of that is that your server will be overloaded to where it cannot perform and cannot be a proper masternode, which brings us to kind of the next thing of in this update that we have planned that is being released, not only with the token layer, but NFT support and also addressing the LLM and quorum situation. It'll be vital to make sure that you are providing the resources required for your node to perform as it should. There is information on our website, pacprotocol.com. There's a section in the facts where you can see the required servers. It is updated, so you can go in there and see exactly what kind of resources are recommended for you to dedicate towards your PAC protocol masternode. Is yanDNA data storage primarily for the individuals, or are there already developments with larger companies, for example, law firms, etc., who use yanDNA for huge amounts of data storage? Well, there's, I guess, two answers to that question, Roger. First and foremost, yanDNA is a public offering product. So it's free for anyone to download and then choose to use. In the When we're no longer in beta and it's full launch, you'll have the ability to deposit YAN token to allocate the data storage that you need. That would be the same for if you were a private company or a private individual. That wouldn't change. But you have to also take in consideration that we are a development company. We will and we have addressed different companies um, offering our solutions, offering the ability to showcase IPFS distributed storage system instead of a complete central system. And we do have, our own private business correlations and deals that we do as a company. Helps us obviously provide budgetary support to the products that we deliver for you guys. So yes, we definitely want to broadcast IPFS solutions for data storage. yanDNA is definitely a part of that. And for anyone to accumulate their own data storage allocation, they have to deposit YAN token into their account when that's available. We may obviously have products that we build that are not public, just uh, basically products built specifically for private companies' needs. That's us as a development company. That's us how business is done on that side. But it's important to note that we are always going to tie it together as far as distributed content storage, and then add in that potential decentralized growth part of it to where you guys, the people, can grow the amount of storage that is available because you can choose to install the additional software that IPFS requires. Your question, what is the relationship between PAC decentralized storage and PAC coin or node, et cetera? So basically, if you look at the infrastructure of PAC protocol, its master nodes, there's approaching, if not already past, 22,400 master nodes. That was like one of the goals. I know that was recently brought up in the community to reach, and we were super close to that as far as registered collateral on the network. But the reason why is like you look at that infrastructure, you have all these different nodes connected throughout the entire globe. We still want to have each individual owner to have the choice of installing additional software to support. The reason why is because not every product offering is going to be worthy of someone to be supporting. They're already doing one, step, and the only step that's required for you to support PAC protocol, which is having a master node connected and making sure that it's properly maintained. With the additional software that can be installed on top of an infrastructure like this, where you have 22,400 nodes, the first thing that came to our mind was IPFS distributed file storage. So there's two different ways that you can utilize IPFS. You can utilize it in a way to where you still maintain all the servers, you control all of them. You just attach IPFS to all the servers, and now you have a distributed file storage system. That's what the beta yanDNA is right now, because obviously the nodes that are supporting it are only in the control of the different team owners of the LLC. Those are the nodes that are operating making sure that they're maintained, making sure the servers are online, etc. In the event and when this happens to where the software installation is available for anyone to deploy on top of a master node if they choose, or just in any server that they plan on maintaining, they'll then have that opportunity of growing the allocated available data storage in the IPFS infrastructure frame. So that's kind of the correlation of like if you have a master node, you already have this structure, like you already know the amount of servers, the amount of master nodes that are out there potentially supporting IPFS, and you can now add that on top of that to where you don't have to upgrade your server, the software that we are preparing to release you. For you to support IPFS, it would be a 500 megabyte download and a 500 megabyte allocation of data storage towards the network. That's just minimum. We'll obviously make things available to be like altered by you in the future, where you can choose the amount of storage that you want to allocate towards the network. But that's the decentralized aspect of it. That's why we mentioned there's a distributed solution where it's multiple servers, not just one. It completely solves the content-based location part of it, because if you're using a broader network of 22,400 nodes with their own IPs, et cetera, and there's an allocation of maybe a couple thousand of them that are privately owned, you're not going to be able to pinpoint the location of where that data is being stored and filed and transferred, et cetera. So that's why that alone is a solution. Can it be optimally better? Yes, with the decentralized aspect included, but that comes at its own risks, because the second you start talking about any decentralized part of any network, and by risks, I don't mean risk like scary risk. What I mean by like, you can't control, I can't, if I have a neighbor that has a PAC master node, I can't control that he makes sure his server is always online all the time, maintained. He might not know what he's doing, or he just get busy, maybe goes on vacation. Like, I can't control that happens. So that's like the risk part of the decentralized layer of a storage network, because you can't control that a server stays online. That's why us as an LLC, we have our own allocation of servers that is our distributed part of IPFS, that will then provide the alternative backup solution to, in the event a decentralized node were to go off, the file gets pinged, stored anyways. That way, if it needs to be retrieved, we're stepping up to the plate and providing that distributed storage for in the event a file goes offline. Does PAC plan to have storage tier systems for individual enterprise offered through the legal entity, provide the infrastructure and assistance to integrate companies to plug into PAC-YAN? So again, yanDNA is a public offering. So if a company chooses to use yanDNA for their own purposes, like we wouldn't know about it because they're doing it on their own, they would have to allocate YAN to do so. But again, kind of just reiterating what we were a little bit talking about already, us as a private company, if a company were to address us and be like, hey, we want to use IPFS file storage for our needs, we may not necessarily always direct them into yanDNA. Their solution may not require or want the support of decentralized nodes. Because you have, and my best example of this, and not to like talk bad about any project, because I'm not doing that. I have no negative feelings about any project, but that I'm mentioning right now. XRP, their validator system, the ones that they choose to accept, it works for them. They do not want decentralized random validators being flagged and chosen as trusted if they themselves do not trust them. And that may be changed. I might not have their updated version of how their validators work, but I know in the past that there's been projects where they pick and choose how many full nodes or validators are operational on a network or allowed. That's one way that a private company may view things. If we don't want to allow the additional aspect of anyone can help provide storage for us, they may just want to provide the storage themselves through third-party solutions, but use our software and our interface to provide usability. And the reason why I bring up Ripple is, or XRP, but Ripple in general, the company, because they are a good example for, like, most people know who Ripple is, good example for me to use. They have software products that does not use the XRP blockchain. They have software products that do. It's still overall may be blockchain technology, but it may not be connected. That goes for any development company. Like, if they know what they're doing, they may not attach everything to their main and only network, but they may apply blockchain technology to solve problems that get risen up from their partners. And that's obviously a way that a development company can produce and be rewarded for doing so. Okay, we are approaching the 30-minute mark. Just wanted to make sure from the new people that joined to be aware that if you have any questions that you want to be sure that they get attention, just use the chat. It's open to anyone. Let's just be respectful and responsible in our words that we use. Okay. So what we have completed for review, the wireframes for the website, the pages, the research docs, etc. And then we're just going to go through feedback, go through any changes that may need to be done, suggestions, etc. on that. Then stage 4 after that, which would be once we reach that point, would take about another week or so to complete that. That's turning the wireframes into finished designs, which would be taking the feedback that we just gave off the originals and then making those adjustments, doing the actual copywriting. And then the next stage after that would be editing and reviewing the pages and making sure everything's finalized. That way everything will be complete at that point. And then once that's done and the pages are done, we have an artist that we're bringing in to do specific artwork for the website. And with those designs, we can start developing the website to completion. So there's just multiple individuals involved. We have these, planned out in multiple stages, but it's coming along good. So when we are finally able to put that all together, just know that there's multiple individuals being part of that. So expect something pretty exciting, or pretty fancy, or pretty good looking. No worries, Caleb. Don't worry about the questions. I mean, I expect some questions to be repeated. Just different people jump in and out, different days. Doesn't matter. Don't no need to apologize. Yeah, it's definitely something that we're exploring. Part of the reason why our content creator and digital creators and just our team in that front, our digital design team, has been expanding, because that's something that we are specifically going to be targeting, not only with the NFT support of PAC protocol, but also the different token layers that can be the different tokens that can be launched on this layer once that's fully developed, and that can be utilized in so many different ways: in-game trading, in-game whatever. Talking about metaverses, talking about content creators, we have a lot of plans to tie all that together. um, I know I always say that, and people do get irritated, so I'm not just making this up. People do get irritated if I start talking about all the different plans and things that we want to do, but then it takes time to do it, because I'm telling you what we can do and what we're going to do, but for it to actually be done and like fully launched, it may take a couple months. And so I understand, like, some people might have like impatience or just get frustrated that we mentioned something that's just not like entirely close to even being ready, which I get that. I understand it. That's why I don't like doing it all the time. But the metaverse and venturing into that and being a part of it, it's 100% part of our plans. That's why our digital content creator design team has been growing. And it's another kind of, not hint, but it's why our website's taking a little longer, because it's no longer like, you have to be competing with what it needs to be. And understanding what it needs to be is kind of hard when it's a new scene. So we have different designers part of this website. And so when we release it, it's going to be something that we're really proud of. A lot more easy to navigate, more information, things like that, and simple. Yeah, I agree, Caleb. This space moves extremely fast. I mean, considering, Bitcoin 2009 Genesis block launch, we're in 2022. I mean, that's 10, 11, 12, 13 years later. The things that are offered in this space now are completely different than what was even discussed as being possible in the blockchain industry. And even if it was discussed, it wasn't picked up at all. No mainstream attention, very, very, very small community compared to what it is now. You have celebrities endorsing cryptocurrency, not like endorsing, I shouldn't say endorsing, I mean recognizing the value that blockchain can bring to anyone, not just celebrities, but any individual. That's starting to be recognized. So like the scene's completely different, and PAC has obviously been steady in what we try to produce and the visions that we're trying to stay close to, stay tied to. But obviously, it's beneficial for everyone to venture into the unknown when different innovations are, brought to light. How can you be involved? How can you maybe make it better? That's how blockchain has got to this point, anyways. A lot of different innovators and a lot of different ideas just getting smashed together. So um, it's it's one of those like two roads. You got to pick the right one, and even if you pick the wrong one, you can always find your way to the right one, because there's just so many different opportunities. It's not cut and dry. But yeah, not only just Bitcoin from where it is now and what it is, and all the different additions that they have just to the basic Bitcoin network. You have the Lightning Network. You have wraps to where Bitcoin can be wrapped over into Ethereum and other chains, vice versa, etc. And then PAC. You look at PAC from its genesis block of being a masternode capable coin, and that's just cutting history off there, because PAC actually comes from, I believe, 2013, where it was just a proof of stake coin with a lot of different problems, a lot of different exploitable bugs. When PAC Genesis of the masternode series was launched, we're talking, a couple years now, 4 years going, yeah, 4 years. the differences in what this network is capable of is night and day. It used to be a proof of work concept network, which is susceptible to miners taking advantage or exploiting the difficulty only for their benefit. You had mining pools attacking. You had many different available problems that could happen because it's a decentralized network. You can't control what can happen. You can start preventing stuff, but then that means what are we doing? We're making optimizations, we're making updates, we're realizing a problem and then trying to make changes so that it doesn't exist. And then you look at to where it is now. LLMQs, chain locks, proof of stake, no more proof of work mining. And now we're talking about updates of being able to support NFT support, a token layer to where different projects could be built with their own supply, being supported by a network that has a robust amount of collateral being reserved for masternode support. Things change, things get better. And that's why it's really cool to see the support that PAC has continued to have over the years. And we just hope that we're doing a good job showing the support back and bringing innovations to this chain. Any concerns of the lack of crypto regulations or the SEC coming after PAC Global others? None whatsoever, because there's no supply that's ever been allocated directly towards DLOC without decentralized consensus. There's no coin mint. We don't use supply to fund operations. We use supply to support the network, and it's completely a night and day situation versus other projects in the past that use ICO type of phases to directly raise funds from their tokens to support a project that doesn't exist yet, basically crowdfund in the decentralized format with no promise, no um, uh, regulation, no anything. Just basically you had to trust that the project was going to do what they said they were going to do. And we saw a lot of people get burned from that. PAC's never been in that situation. It's been from Genesis block on, it was you mine the coin to get it, you set up a masternode and receive rewards to get it. Now it's you proof of stake to get it. You can make a proposal, and if you get the network decided consensus that it is approved, you get it. So there is no security basis that you can even um, acquire PAC without getting involved in the decentralized network. There is no central entity that you can get directly involved in to get newly minted coins for like Tether or like the US dollar. So no, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not the courts. And SEC has a lot of regulatory answers to give for a lot bigger projects, a lot bigger situations that have come up. And by our own acquired legal opinion from our own law firm, US based, so that we have our sense of security, that we are not a security, we've acquired that ourselves. So anyone has the ability to go try and acquire their own legal opinion letter for any type of asset, digital or not. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't have an answer from the courts, that's to your own discretion, because legal opinion letters mean nothing if the courts come out and say something else. And just to be clear on that again, you can get your own legal opinion letter as an individual, not just that you don't have to be representing a company, you don't have to be representing anything. You can bring something to your own law firm of your choice, preferably someone that is informed in the blockchain space so that they know what they're even looking at. And you can get your own security legal opinion letter, but that does not overstate what a court would say. If it comes out and says, okay, this specific asset, like, talking about the one that everyone talks about, XRP or Ripple, if they say, okay, this is a security, well, it doesn't matter what your law firm gave their opinion on. It's an opinion. It's not a law. It's not a rule. It's an opinion, because they will back you up. They will represent you in a court of law to say that they gave you that's the whole point of having those things, so that you as a company or an individual feel secure in your actions. But again, obviously the blockchain space and cryptocurrency is a widely discussed topic when it comes to regulation and what the SEC is going to do. There's a lot of different countries that have already made their decisions. So we all know SEC has definitely dragged their feet quite a bit on this topic, or it's just really hard for them to come up with a solution. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. Okay. Well, it seems to me that we had a pretty good stream. We're at the 42-minute mark just now. Yeah, I think we're good to go. A lot of good questions today. I appreciate the attendance. And again, our next stream will be on Friday. We're going to try and stick to that schedule: Friday, Wednesday, Monday, Friday, Wednesday. But if need be, if we need to pick them up, if we see, a need in different questions that are arising, or the event that our update gets pushed, I assume that we will have more questions and just more excitement in general. We may even have community discussions where people can share the NFTs that they're minting on PAC Protocol when that's available. So it'll be exciting times. And I, again, appreciate you guys stopping by, and you guys have a good rest of your day, and see you next time.